I would say, and I'll ask Tom this to start our conversation, of course, longtime Sixers beat writer Tom Moore from the Bucks County Courier-Times. What? Not 700 people in that Camden Arena today?
No, I'm just giggling because you're not wrong. I think there was a lot of interest up there. I would have liked to have been
picture,
up there.
it looked like you had a full house there, Tom. What was there, like 60 people there to watch that thing today?
Yeah, probably neighborhood of 50 or something like that. I mean, you have to remember it's the first sort of top 8 or 10 guy that's been here, for one thing. And there were some writers from New York that came down because the Knicks and the Nets workouts are all closed. So they came down to ask guys, including Monk, about their New York workouts to find out what it was like. So, and yeah, there were some national people. It was quite an array of folks. There was a big crowd in the morning for Josh Hart and Darryl Reynolds and Dylan Ennis and all that stuff, but it sort of ramped up another maybe dozen people for the afternoon.
Monk is a guy that you would think that 3 is a little high for, no?
I would think so, yeah. I mean, I would think probably 3 is not where you it might be a little bit of a reach there, but potentially trading down or something, something along those lines. But, yeah, I don't think generally he's regarded in the top 3 or 4 at least.
Now, we know just because you bring these guys in to work them out doesn't necessarily mean you're going to take them. A lot of times these teams talk to these guys because it's the last time they'll talk to them for 4 years, so you try to get a beat on them. But is Monk a guy that if they were impressed enough today that could change Colangelo's thought process if a trade offer comes in?
Well, I mean, they've done a lot of stuff. They saw him in his workout. They visited with him, talked to people around him, and so on. So today is one part of it. He did not, at least the part we saw, he did not shoot the ball great. It's kind of weird because it was an individual workout, but he's playing 4-on-4 with guys on the Sixers staff. So normally when you have, like in the morning, it was a 3-on-3 workout. So, but it's 6 draft prospects. Here there's 1 draft prospect and 7 other guys. So he had the ball in his hands a lot, and, he tried to create some, but mainly he was shooting. So there, it was kind of a little different in terms of it wasn't a normal 3-on-3 or 4-on-4. But, I think he's trying to sell himself and Calipari too, that he can be a combo guard at the next level because he's 6'3" and he's lean, and his wingspan is only 6'3.5". So people are wondering, by comparison, Markelle Fultz, who's only an inch taller, his wingspan is 6'9 3/4". So you're talking a 6.25 inch difference in wingspan, which you're closing out on guys or getting shots over people, that kind of thing, could make a little bit of a difference. So he wants to show that he can handle the ball a little bit, that he could be a second facilitator, that kind of thing, to increase, potentially his role at the next level.
Now, he's interesting because, I mean, any guy who's an undersized 2 guard kind of makes sense for the Sixers if they intend to use Simmons at the point guard position, right? Can they overlook height of a 2 guard or an off guard or whatever you want to call that position in today's NBA if your guy that's running the offense is 6'10"?
Well, I mean, theoretically you would think yes, Mike, but the problem is, and I think we've discussed this before, you have no way of knowing at this point if it's going to work out with Simmons. So you have to go into the draft not really knowing, all right, is Simmons going to be our point guard on offense? We know we're going to try him there, but is there any guarantee in January or February he still is that? So you sort of have to approach it kind of like they approached the draft in Embiid's second year when they took Okafor, because they didn't know if you're complimenting him or if you're potentially replacing him. So I think it's kind of the same way. It's a little bit of a leap of faith. Either way, do you bypass a guy you really like as a point guard because you think he might duplicate Simmons, or do you take him anyway, figuring, well, we don't know what's going to happen, kind of the Sam Hinkie way, let's accumulate talent and we'll kind of figure it out later. Okay. And I don't know. There's no right answer. There's no way to know at this point.
Can I ask this question? It might sound completely ignorant. I'm not sure. You guys don't get to watch all their practices. Is there a possibility that the Sixers, I don't know how cleared or healthy Simmons is, that they have scrimmaged him and played him against their starting players in areas where you guys haven't seen him, enough for them to say, yes, he has been up against NBA players running the point? Like, could they have had him doing some things in 5-on-5 that no one has ever seen, somewhere?
I mean, it's possible. We were told with Korkmaz on Monday, I guess it was, he said that he did some 5-on-5 work with Simmons. Now, we were told it was quote-unquote light scrimmaging with not full contact. So you can kind of see, but it's not exactly the same thing. So I really think you need to see it against, NBA people. I mean, I really think you're not going to know till you give them, let's say, a month. So you're not going to know till middle of the end of November if this is going to work. I mean, he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot, one way or the other. But whether he's a point forward or a point guard on offense or whatever, it still remains to be seen. And even if he looks good now, if it's not full speed, full contact, it's kind of like the difference between miniature golf and regular golf. It's not quite the same thing.
Tom Moore with us talking about the workout today of Malik Monk. Where do you stand on these workouts, Tom? Because Embiid, Okafor, they didn't work out for the Sixers. Nerlens Noel didn't work out. These pre-draft workouts of whether they come in and do it or not. Do they really see a lot out of these pre-draft workouts? Where do you stand on whether it adds or detracts from the value of the player?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all a giant puzzle, Pete. And anytime you can add more things, he was in town. They talked to him, had him, had a meal with him, gave him tests, questions, things like that. So anytime you can do that. Now, the thing, you're right, Pete, but Embiid was injured and so was Noel. Embiid wasn't flying. He had just had surgery, so he wasn't there. Now, Noel, by that point, could have visited the Sixers, but they only had the 11th pick at that point, and he was projected, even with a torn ACL, to go higher. Okafor, I don't think, really wanted to play here. The day before the draft, I asked him in New York about it, and he didn't seem too thrilled about it. I think he thought and hoped he was going to the Lakers, but, it did not work out. So I don't think it would preclude them. I mean, at this point, it sounds like Fox is coming in Saturday, but that's only two of the guys projected to go between, say, number 2 and number 8 or whatever. No Jonathan Isaac, no Lonzo Ball, no Josh Jackson. I know they're trying to get these guys to come in, but I'm not sure if maybe some will come in at the last minute or what will happen. But generally, you always try to have people, come in. And because the Sixers have the 3rd pick, you would think if you're rated as the 6th best prospect, like let's say you're Jonathan Isaac or somebody like that, why wouldn't you want to visit a team that, potentially could really, really like you and take you higher, which would mean more money on your rookie contract, et cetera. So, but I know agents all think guys are going, this guy's going to go here, or why should I waste it? He's not going to go that high or whatever. But yeah, you always want to have guys in to work out and see, and, just get around them, talk to them, talk to their teammates, their college coaches, people maybe that are high on him, maybe people that don't like him as much. Why don't they? What don't they like about their game? Check out their character, all that stuff. It all goes into making the final decision.
How much do you think, Tom, that players, and specifically then I guess their agents by virtue, try to manipulate their draft destination with their workouts and their availability? Well,
I mean, look at Josh Jackson, for example. I talked to his agent, B.J. Armstrong, Friday night. He said he didn't see any reason why he wouldn't come in and visit. Now, since then, he visited the Lakers a second time. He canceled a visit with the Celtics, which I guess he figures he's not going to go number 1. What's, the point there? But, I mean, if the Lakers don't take him, the Sixers are next at number 3, and maybe he'll come in next week. Maybe he'll come in Tuesday or something like that. I don't know. Same with Lonzo Ball. I mean, everybody initially thought he was going to go number 2, and I know the Sixers are trying to get him and want to get him to come in, but his father wants him to go to the Lakers. But, again, what if he doesn't go to the Lakers? And if you don't visit, does that impact? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Now, if the Sixers don't take him, Phoenix at number 4, are they going to take a guard? Now you're down to number 5, So, I'm not sure. And I think Andre Iguodala, when he was coming out of Arizona, he was projected to go higher. The Sixers were picking at number 9. He was projected to go like number 6 early on. And then the next thing you know, his stock slips. He comes in the day before the draft, kind of quietly works out for the Sixers. and he ended up being on the board, and they drafted him at number 9. So things can change. I mean, there's not going to be 4 people going first and second. There's going to be 2 of those guys are going to be available, and the Sixers will have a decision to make whether it's, Ball is still there, or Jackson, or Fox, or 2 of those 3 guys are probably going to be there. At least 2 of those 3 guys. So if the agent wants him to go a particular place, and sometimes they do like to control where they think one situation is better than another situation, that all factors in.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to ask you about Lonzo Ball, whether you thought his stock was dropping or you thought that's all a smokescreen, and would you be comfortable if the Sixers took Lonzo Ball? Is he a good fit for the Sixers?
Well, I mean, I think, he does a lot of things that you like. If you're a teammate, he's a facilitator. He passes the ball. He finds you when you get open. Reminds me somewhat of Ben Simmons in that respect. He's very unselfish. He has a weird shot, but he's a very good shooter. He shot over 40% from 3. So all those are, are good things. But again, he's a point guard. He can play off the ball a little bit too and be a second option. But you have to factor in, circumstances and the dad and so on, and when you're making a decision. So I think basketball-wise, I think he would be okay. And he's 6'6", so he's got good size. He could theoretically guard 1s and 2s. To me, he would be a better fit size-wise than Malik Monk, let's say, who's only 6'3". But you have to take everything into account. If I'm Brian Colangelo, I'm sitting there draft night, and I have talked to teams, and I have, at least as of that point, the best offers at number 3 if Fox is still there, and the best offers if Ball is still there. And then when you're on the clock and you see who goes number 2, at least one of those 2 guys is going to still be on the board. Then you make your decision based on who's there, how much you like them, and maybe you check with those teams too and see, depending on who you're targeting, if you can get them at 4 or 5, maybe you look to possibly make a move and add other assets.
We're talking with Tom Moore, Sixers beat writer, Calkins Media, Bucks County Courier-Times. How did Monk look today? I mean, they need a shooter. He's supposedly one of the best, if not the best, in the draft. Did you leave impressed saying, yeah, this guy fits a need for Philadelphia?
Well, the part when we watched right away, he was, as I said, they were playing kind of 4-on-4 with 7 basketball staff guys and him. He missed his first 4 shots that we got to see, and he made a shot. He was kind of uneven, but it was late in the workout, and they were running. Then he hit in a drill. He hit 3 corner threes. He looked about what you think, about what you expect. For a guy like that. This is the 4th team he's visited. He's not planning on visiting anymore. So, I don't think he's a guy at number 3, and I'm not sure if it's me, I'm not sure he's my guy at number 5 per se. But you have to take it all into the, mix it all up and see what you're targeting. They need shooting. He's the best shooter in the group as of now, but. A kid like Isaac is a little more raw. There's a little more potential, there's a bigger upside, but there also might be bigger risks. So you have to determine what you're looking for here. Do you want a guy who can make it, play right away perhaps and be decent right away versus a guy who's going to maybe take time to grow into it but could be better down the road? And that's what they have to figure out, fit versus talent, and skill. And that's a big, big deal here because for a while, they stockpiled the 3 big guys and then basically gave Nerlens Noel away, and now they may have to essentially trying to do everything but give away Jahlil Okafor, but get anything of any value for him in return. So would you draft a guy at a position that you already have? And I asked Brian Colangelo that question a couple weeks ago, and he did not answer, the question. So he doesn't want people to know that, which I understand.
Tom, De'Aaron Fox is scheduled to be in this weekend. Is he more of a possibility at 3, or is he another guy that, that 5'10" Sacramento has been out there? Are these 2 guys that they would be looking at, Fox 5, Monk 10, or is Fox more in the 3 range?
I think let's put it this way. There's a better chance of Fox going 3 than Monk 3 in my mind. The thing about him is, he's a terrific ball handler. He plays at the right pace. He's really fast. So in terms of running the team, whether he's the first guy or the second guy, he would really, fit well. He's also kind of small and lean. His frame is very thin. The question with him, he did not shoot very well from three. Shot better the last month than he did before, but he still ended up shooting under 30%. So if you're considering him, the question is, do you think he will be better just with some tweaks and time and repetition, or is there something with his shot that you need to change? Because if you're starting Ben Simmons, you need somebody, you need guys on the floor with him who can shoot. You can't afford to have too many guys who are not good outside shooters. So to me, that's what it comes down to with him, although there's a lot, his competitiveness and the pace he plays in this up-tempo system would fit very well. But how much of a better shooter can he be at this level? And that's what they have to guesstimate and make their decision largely based upon.
And then, there are some reports out there that the Sixers really like Dennis Smith. Is he going to have a workout with the Sixers? Has that been something that's been reported as well?
I don't know. I mean, no Smith, no Tatum, no Isaac, no Ball,
Weird.
No Jackson. Like I said, none of them have been here. I know that Ball and Jackson, I know they've been trying. I assume they've been trying for the other people, but I'm not sure why. If you're a guy like Dennis Smith, I don't see why you wouldn't want to come here. His vertical is supposedly 40+ inches, and he is a scorer, like a scoring point guard kind of thing. If I'm him, I don't know why you don't come here again, unless people. I don't know, and maybe the bunch of people are going to come in next week. Maybe some people are going to come in, quietly and without letting us know, which is possible, has happened in the past. But I'm surprised a guy like Smith hasn't been here, assuming they want him here, which I don't see any reason why the Sixers wouldn't want to bring him in for a visit and workout.
Yeah, there was Ann Bigley reported that some members of the Sixers are big fans of him, and 3-pick I would think is a little high for him as well. So it looks like the Sixers are at least putting some ammunition together if they moved back.
Well, and you want to be ready just in case. You don't know.
Right.
Like I said, if you think somebody really wants Ball or somebody really wants Fox, and it's somebody at 4 or 5 or something like that, you need to be ready and figure out who you like there and how much you like them there versus if you trade back from 3 and what you can get. So those would be guys to me, that there would be a chance you move down that you would more seriously consider.
Hey, Tom, before we let you go, yesterday the Sixers picked up the option on Covington. Will the team try to extend him this summer, or do you think he wants to wait until he can get a bigger deal in November?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. 4 years and $39 million is the most they can pay him at this point. It's the 3-year anniversary of signing, which is why it's November 15th. Then it could be more. But, he made $1 million in each of his first 3 years. Hinkie got him on the same, kind of team-friendly contract that T.J. McConnell was on and so on, locking him up, with team options and so on. There's a risk by November 15th, you're probably 3 weeks or maybe more into the season. So, injuries and so on, I don't know what his value is. Obviously, it's more than $1 million. But, you have to sort of see. He could have a great start to the season, or could not start that well, or could have more troubles than knee or whatever. So it's kind of a risk reward, weigh everything and go from there. I mean, I think in this market it's probably not too far off what his value is, but he's got to make a decision and go from there.
All right. Tom Moore, Calkins Media, the Sixers. We'll see if they bring some guys in next week. This is a very, very important draft coming up for them, and it all shakes out Thursday, June 22nd, and you can listen to it all on 97.3. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, guys.